Aisha, are you there in the class? Please respond.
Yes,
Okay, please put on your camera.
yes, ma'am.
So, Aisha, in the last class, we completed the lesson living world, right? So, in today's class, we'll be starting with we have biological classification next. Okay, so you start with this lesson. Lesson. Aisha, do you have anything to ask or discuss from the previous lesson? Any doubts you wish to ask? Anything that was not clear to you?
No, ma'am, this lesson is clear.
Everything was clear?
Yes,
Okay, good. So now we come to the next lesson, which is biological classification. So basically, what do we study in this lesson? 1 minute. So in the last lesson, we were studying about the living world, and we studied that how many diversity is there between the different organisms and how many types of species are there. And we got to know that basically it is very important that we divide the organisms into different classes, right? So in this lesson, we start with this thing. We will learn how do we classify the organisms. Okay, so there were various methods of classification that were proposed in the earlier. So methods of classification can be, for example, I can classify all the animals and all the plants into two categories, right? I have all the animals in one category, all the plants in another category. So this is also like I'm classifying plants and animals into categories. But so what is the problem with this classification? Basically, when I'm classifying plants as one category, now in plants also you see that there are various categories in plants as well. For example, there are some very big trees, then there are some very small herbs, then there are intermediate plants, then you have shrubs, then you have conifers, you have evergreen, you have this. So there are so many classes, so many subclasses in the plants, and similarly, you have so many subclasses in the animals as well. So I cannot just randomly say that let's keep all plants one side, all animals one side. Then where will the bacteria go? Right? Bacteria is neither an animal nor a plant. So where will it go? And similarly, we had other organisms like we had algae, we had paramecium, then we have fungi. So all of these organisms could not find a place in this kind of system. So this was disregarded, obviously, because we cannot use this such vague classification system. Just classifying organisms into two categories was not at all a solution to our problem. See, what was the problem? It was basically such large number of diversity and species that existed in the on the earth, right? And the solution was to classify everything in order to study it properly. Okay, so our solution should be such so that our study can become easy. So what happened? Over the course of time, there were various different classification systems were proposed. So in this lesson, we will one by one study how many kinds of classification systems were proposed. And finally, we came to the five kingdom classification, in which we finally classified all the organisms into five kingdoms. Okay, Monera, Protista, Fungi, Animalia, and Plant. Okay, these were the five kingdoms, and finally, this kingdom is regarded as one of the most important and most useful method of classification. Okay, so this was basically the introduction and overview. And what will we study more? We will study about these five kingdoms in detail. We'll study about the bacteria, we'll study about the fungi and the protists. All of them we'll study one by one. So basically, this chapter deals with all of these things. All right, Aisha. So we come to the first important point. Just 1 minute. Okay, first is, who was the first one to classify all the organisms? The first person to classify the organisms was Aristotle. The first person to classify organisms. Okay, and what did he do? He basically, okay, we'll study whenever I tell you about any scientist or any biologist who is attempting to classify organisms, we study three things: the name of that person, then what was the basis of classification. So his basis of classification was simple morphological characters. I hope my screen is visible,
Yes.
right? So what did he do? He just classified. So this was his basis of classification. What did he do? What is the meaning of morphology now, Aisha? What is the meaning of morphology? There are two terms. We have morphology and we have anatomy. So do you know what is the meaning of morphology? Okay, morphology is basically the external appearance. Okay, what is the meaning of morphology? External appearance. For example, the things that you can look and tell about anything. Like you have a flower. So what is the color of the flower? The color is red, for example. How many petals are there in the flower? 5 petals. How many sepals are there in the flower? Let's suppose 3 sepals. Then are there stamens or not? Okay, do you see pollen grains on the stamen? Then what is the color of the stem? Is it brown or is it green or is it light green? So all of these external appearances are termed as morphology. Not just for a flower, for any animal also. For example, you look at an animal and you just see at the external appearance, like what is the color of the animal? What is the height of the animal? Okay, is the animal big or is it small? So these all things are external appearances, morphology. And what do you understand by anatomy? Anatomy is the internal structures of any organ. Okay, like if you talk about the anatomy of the human, so what are the internal structures of the human? We have various organs. We have the heart, we have the lungs, we have the kidneys, we have the brain, we have the nerve, we have various systems. Okay, digestive system, nervous system. So there, those things that are internal to our body are known as anatomy, and the things that we study as external appearances come under the category of morphology. Is this thing clear to you, Aisha? So now can you differentiate between the two words anatomy and morphology?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the basis of classification of Aristotle? What did Aristotle do? He took plants and he said that all the plants on the earth are either trees or shrubs or herbs. He said all the big plants are trees, all the small plants are herbs, and the intermediate plants are shrubs. So this was the classification proposed by Aristotle. All right. So this classification, you can see, it was purely based on morphology. That means he just looked at the tree or looked at the plant, and that is how he placed it into one of these three categories. He did not look at the internal structure. He did not look at any other feature of the plant. He just looked at the plant. Is it big? Is it small? Or is it very small? So that is morphology. You understand this?
Yes.
Okay. So this was the basis. And then what did he do? He divided plants into two: trees, shrubs, and herbs, and he also divided animals into two categories. Either they were red-blooded or they did not have red blood cells. Red blood cells. You know what are red blood cells? They are RBCs. RBCs are basically present in our blood. They are the major blood forming cells. Those. So what did he do? He said that plants have three categories: either trees, shrubs, herbs, or animals have two categories: either they are red blooded or they do not have red blood cells. So this was the basis of classification of Aristotle. Then what happened? Then came Linnaeus. Clear with Aristotle, Aisha? Please put on your camera. Do not put it off. Linnaeus gave two kingdom classification. What were the two kingdoms?
Plante and animal.
Very good. They were plants and animals. He said all the organisms present in the earth, they're either plants or animals. Okay. So, what was the problem in this linear system of classification? It is not talking about eukaryotic, prokaryotic. It is not talking about the bacteria. It is not talking about the fungi. Okay, it is not talking about the major organisms which are neither plants nor animals. Okay, and they are very important. So, since it is not talking about all of these organisms, hence, where will those organisms go? You cannot just classify them into one category. They are also diverse, they are also distinct with one another. So, that is why his system of classification also failed. Right. So, you can talk about it. What was the problem with this structure? So, please note it down. Actually, you can do one thing. See, I'm going very slow. So, you can note down the notes with me in the classroom. Because I noticed that if I'm writing first and then I'm giving you time to note down the notes, it takes a lot of time over there. Okay. So since I teach you very slowly, you have any doubts at any point you want me to stop, I can, but please note down along with me as I teach. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, please keep noting down. For this Aristotle, you can take a screenshot and leave some space, and then you can directly start with Linnaeus.
Done.
Okay, good. So come to Linnaeus now. So what was the problem? One very important line was, besides gross morphology, a need was felt to also include internal structures of organisms. All right. And further, what all were not included in linear system? Did not differentiate between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Then next point was unicellular and multicellular. Then photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic. So basically, see, if you talk about plants also, so all the plants are not photosynthetic. You have some of the plants that are non-photosynthetic also. Okay, they do not perform photosynthesis. Instead, what do they do? They can be either insectivorous or they can be they are also performing chemosynthesis. Okay, what is that? They use chemicals to derive their food. Okay, so they are not doing photosynthesis. So the plants that were non-photosynthetic, they were also included under one category only. Then the unicellular as well as the multicellular organisms. Now you cannot correlate a bacteria with a human being, right? A bacteria has a very simple structure. It is just a single-celled organism. I'm talking about an entire human being that is a very complex structure. So you cannot correlate those organisms. So unicellular and multicellular organisms needed a different space. Similarly, prokaryotes and eukaryotes also known. You do know the difference between prokaryote and eukaryote?
Yes.
Tell me, what is a prokaryotic cell? What is a eukaryotic cell? Asha, please tell me, what is a prokaryotic cell and what is a eukaryotic cell? Okay, which one is simpler? Prokaryote is simpler or eukaryote is simpler?
Prokaryotic.
Okay, you don't know the difference? The prokaryotic cells or organisms are basically those that their nucleus is not surrounded by a nuclear membrane. Okay,
Yeah.
see what is the structure of a cell? You know this difference?
Yes.
Okay, so in a prokaryotic cell, the nucleus is not surrounded by a nuclear membrane, but in a eukaryotic cell, the nucleus is surrounded by a very defined nuclear membrane. Okay, so this is the major difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So now you cannot place a prokaryotic organism with a eukaryotic organism, but Linnaeus did all of these mistakes in his classification system. So again, Linnaeus system was discarded. Then finally we came to RH Whittaker. Now RH Whittaker gave us the best kind of classification, which was the 5 kingdom classification. What did he do? He classified organisms into 5 categories. What were those categories? Bacteria or Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So these were the 5 kingdoms that were proposed by Monera, by RH Whittaker. Okay, which were Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. You need to remember these things. Okay. Now we will study about the basis of classification proposed by RH Whittaker. Now RH Whittaker was very wise to propose the classification in such a manner that he used various very important features as the base. What were those features now? We'll study one by one. So we have a table. Let's do one thing. I will share the PDF on the screen, okay? Because some things are very important in the PDF that you should 1 minute. By the time, please note things down.
Okay.
Yes, so you see the PDF on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a very important table with us. Please pay attention as I go through the topics. So the first character that Whitaker took was cell type. Now, see, one important thing that you need to know is now Whitaker focused on internal character. Linnaeus and Aristotle, why were they wrong? Because they were just focusing on morphology. Okay, they were just looking at the external feature. But R.H. Whitaker took internal features as the basis. So the first feature that he took was cell type. Now, basically, the cell type can be either prokaryotic or eukaryotic, right? So he said that amongst Monera, all the prokaryotic organisms are one category. He said all the prokaryotic will be one category, that is, they will be counted under Monera, right? And the other eukaryotic organisms he kept at one side. He said, okay, fine, let's first classify prokaryotic and eukaryotic. So he got two kingdoms. He got Monera and all the other organisms at one side. So there were prokaryotes and eukaryotes classification. Then he came to the next category, which was cell wall. And he said, now organisms have various kinds of cell wall. So he said, now a cell wall can either be present or absent. So first of all, he said that the organisms in which cell wall is not present, okay, in which they are absent, will be animalia. So in animalia, we have organisms which are eukaryotic and the cell wall is absent. While cell wall is present in all the other categories. It is there in Monera, Protista, fungi, and plant. But now, the cell wall that is present in Monera is not similar to the ones present in Protista or fungi or planting. They have various different kinds of cell wall. For example, in plants, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, very important. It is made up of cellulose. Cellulose is a chemical substance, and cellulose forms the cell wall in the plant. Okay, where is cellulose found? Cellulose is also found in like grass. Okay, do you know about like cows chew their food a lot, right?
Yes.
Cows and buffalo, they chew their food a lot. Why are they chewing their food so much? Basically, cellulose is, see, the food that they are eating is plants. Okay, they are eating grass. And what happens? The grass has cellulose in its cell wall, and that cellulose is very hard to digest. So what will they do? The cows and the buffaloes, they will keep chewing their food like many for many hours so that their food can be digested. Okay. So with this example, you must remember that plants, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Okay, you can remember it with the example of cows and buffaloes. Then next we came to fungi. So the cell wall in fungi is made up of another important substance, which is chitin. So the fungi has chitin cell wall. Okay. Now in Protista, the cell wall was seen to be present in only some of the organisms. Okay, only in one category basically the cell wall was found. Others it was not found. And even in this category, the cell was not very well defined. It was just a very thin sort of a layer which was made up of proteins. Okay, so that cell wall was made up of proteins in Protista. And it was present only in some organisms, not in all protists. Then we came to Monera. Monera, the cell wall is non-cellulosic in nature. That means it is not made up of cellulose. Then what is it made up of? It is made up of polysaccharides and amino acids. Okay, polysaccharides and amino acids. Will you remember this?
Yes.
The components of the cell wall for Monera. Let's revise. What are the components of cell wall for Monera? What is it made of?
What?
What is the cell wall of Monera made of?
Polysaccharide and amino acid.
Yes, polysaccharides and amino acids. Then for fungi, what is it made up of?
Chitin.
No, it's not chitin, it's chitin.
Chitin.
Okay, and for plants?
Cellulose.
Cellulose. Okay, so remember these things. And it is absent in animals and present in only some in the protists. Then we came to nuclear membrane. So the nuclear membrane, now obviously the nuclear membrane is present only in prokaryotes and it is not present in eukaryotes. So wherever it is written prokaryotes, you will write absent, and for the eukaryotes, you will write present. Okay. Because nuclear membrane, we know, is present only in the eukaryote. It is absent in prokaryotes. Alright, Aisha. Then we came to body organization. Now, what is the meaning of body organization? It basically means, see, the simplest kind of thing that we have is a cell. Okay, so the body can be made up of a single cell also. For example, in bacteria, okay, and in various protists, the cell wall is just made up of a single cell. So that kind of body organization where it is made up of only single cells, it is known to be cellular level of organization. Okay, what do you call it? You call it cellular level of organization. So in monorins and protists, it is made up of only single cells. The body is made up of only single cells. So it is cellular level. Then fungi, plantae, and animalia. We have many cells. We just don't have a single cell. We have many cells. So for fungi, it is basically arranged as loose tissues. For plant, we have tissues and organs. For animals, we have tissues, organs, and organs. So which is the most complex system? Which is the most complex system, Aisha?
Animal.
Animalia is the most complex because there we have tissues also, we have organs also, and we have organ systems also. Plants, we just have the tissues and the organs. Fungi, we have like very loose tissues arranged. Then protistans and monorins are just cellular. Next, we come to mode of nutrition. Very important thing again. So, mode of nutrition means the mode through which the organism is eating. Okay, so monorins can be, okay, first of all, let's study this thing. You know, plants are autotrophic. So plants will perform their photosynthesis, they will make their own food. And animals, we know, are heterotrophic. They will not make their own food. Instead, they will use the other food for nutrition. So they can be holozoic or saprophytic. So what is the meaning of holozoic and saprophytic? The heterotrophic nutrition can be of various types. It can be holozoic, it can be saprophytic, it can be parasitic. Okay, so holozoic means like a tiger. What does it do? It eats the entire deer as its own. Okay, so that is holozoic mode of nutrition. Eating another organism as a whole. That is holozoic. What is saprophytic? Saprophytes are basically they decompose the dead organic matter. Okay, they are decomposing the other organisms. For example, if you've ever seen that if any organism dies, like if a mouse dies or if any plant will also die, over a period of time it will decompose. And smaller other microorganisms will come and settle over it. Okay, so that mode of nutrition, those other smaller organisms, what are they doing? They are basically having saprophytic mode of nutrition. They're saprophytes. What do? They they will just decompose the other organism and they will obtain nutrition from it. What is parasite now? Parasite are, for example, some people have worms in their stomach or intestines, right? So that worm is a parasite or a mosquito. A mosquito is a parasite. Okay, lice in the head. So they are also parasites. Okay, they what do? They basically harm the other organism and they're not like harming at a very large level, but they are deriving nutrition from the another organism without killing it. Okay, Aisha, do you understand this? So heterotrophic can be of three types. Now, animals are not really parasites. Animals are either holozoic or saprophytic. Then when we come to fungi is either saprophytic or parasitic. Okay, fungi is either saprophytic or parasitic. Animals are holozoic or saprophytic. So although the mode is same, here also it's heterotroph, here also it's heterotroph, but the kind is different. Here heterotrophic may be holozoic or saprophytic, while for fungi it is saprophytic or parasitic. Protistans are autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. Okay, protistans can be both. They can be autotrophic also, they can be heterotrophic. Then talking about monorails. Now monorails, it is well said that monorails have a very complex nutritional mode. Okay, the mode of nutrition for monorails is very common. That means they have a variety of nutrition in them. They can be autotrophic also, they can be heterotrophic also. Then in autotrophic also, they can either be chemosynthetic or photosynthetic. Now, what is the meaning of all these words? As I told you, heterotrophic nutrition is of three kinds. Similarly, autotrophic nutrition is also of two kinds. They can either be photosynthetic or chemosynthetic. What do we understand by photo and chemo? See, the word photo means light, and the word chemo means chemicals. Okay, photo means light and chemo means chemical. So basically, when plants are making their food with the help of light as the energy, then they are known as photosynthetic autotrophic nutrition. But when they are using chemicals as the energy source, okay, they do not have light, instead they have chemicals as the energy source, then they are known as chemo. Okay, so the two modes of autotrophic nutrition, you understand?
Yes.
So we see that which is the most complex mode of nutrition for which of the organism we have monomers. Monomers have autotrophic also. In autotrophic also, some can be chemosynthetic, others can be photosynthetic. They are heterotrophic also. In heterotrophic also, they are either saprophytic or parasitic. Okay, so remember these points. Do you understand this table now? All the words, all the points.
Yes.
Okay, it is very important table. Aisha, you can do one thing. Please make this table, note down all the points, and if you have any doubt at any point, please note down this table.
Okay. Done.
Okay, Aisha, completed. So, 1 second. So, move to the next thing. Okay, first, I want to ask you questions based on this. Now, can you explain to me the cell types of all the 5 kingdoms?
What?
Can you explain me this table now? One by one, I'll ask you and then you answer. Okay, first tell me the cell type of all the 5 kingdoms.
Cell type of Monera is prokaryotic and Protista is eukaryotic, and fungi, plantae, and animalia all eukaryotic.
Okay, then what about the cell wall?
Cell wall of
Yes,
cell of Monera is uh, non-cellular and
non-cellular.
what?
Non-cellulosic, not non-cellular. It's non-cellulosic.
Okay. And uh, polysaccharide and amino acid.
Yeah, it is made up of polysaccharides and amino acids. Okay, do you know what are polysaccharides and what are amino acids?
Amino acids I know, polysaccharide I don't know.
Tell me what are amino acids. Amino acids are, okay, you know what are protein?
Yes.
Yeah. So proteins, the building block of protein is known as amino acids. Proteins are formed of amino acids. Okay. So we have various different amino acids. They will come together, they will join to one another and they will form a protein. All right. Then what are polysaccharides? Now polysaccharides are okay. Like we have carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are composed of polysaccharides. Okay. So polysaccharides and amino acids, they are the units of, they are basically the smaller units of carbohydrates and protein, the building blocks. Then, so remember this thing. Then protista. Tell me about cell wall of others.
Protista cell wall is present in only some.
Okay. And what about fungi?
Fungi, it's present with chitin.
It is present and it is made up of chitin. And plants?
In plants, it's present in the form of cellulose.
It is present and it is made up of cell. Okay.
And
It's
in
present and it is made up of cell.
animals, it's absent.
In animals is absent. Good. What about the nuclear membrane?
Nuclear membrane in Monera, it's absent, and in Protista and fungi and plant and animal, it's present.
Yeah, it is absent in Monera and present in all of us. Then body organization.
Monera, it's cellular, and Protista also cellular, and fungi, it's multicellular, and it's
Composed of
loose.
very, not very like finely formed. They're not very complex tissues. They're very simple loose tissues. Then plants
Plants, tissues, and organs.
and animals.
Tissues, organs, and organ system.
Very good. What about the mode of nutrition?
Mode of nutrition in Monera, it's autotrophic, and in Protista, it's
In
autotrophic.
Aisha, in monitors, it is not just autotrophic. It is autotrophic also, heterotrophic also. And in that also, if it is autotrophic, then it can be of two types. What are the types?
It's chemosynthetic and photosynthetic.
Yes. What is the meaning of chemosynthetic and photosynthetic?
Photosynthetic is a light process.
Yes.
And chemosynthetic is a chemical process.
Very good. Then What are the different modes of heterotrophic nutrition?
Parasitic and parasitic.
Just parasitic, not holozoic, not saprophytic.
Yes.
Okay. So monodons have what kind of heterotrophic? Either saprotrophic or parasitic. Okay.
Okay.
Just revise them 1 or 2 times, then you will be able to have clear concepts in your mind, and you can recall. Okay, that for monera, mode of nutrition was autotrophic also, heterotrophic. In autotrophic, it was 2 categories: photosynthetic also, chemosynthetic also. Heterotrophic also, it has 2 categories: parasitic also and saprotrophic. Okay, so you should know these things by heart. You should learn them. Then protistants, what kind of nutrition?
Autotrophic.
Autotrophic and heterotrophic. So, okay, the question can be, is chemosynthetic autotrophic nutrition present in protista? Yes or no? Chemosynthetic autotrophic nutrition.
No.
No. Okay, good. Why? Because, see, protistants are autotrophic, but what kind of autotrophic they are? They perform photosynthesis, not chemosynthesis. So it's not chemosynthetic autotrophic. Instead, it's photosynthetic autotrophic. So there are 2 kinds of autotrophic nutrition. Okay, so this way, please make questions in your head and try to have clear concepts. Then heterotrophic and the hetero also. Fungi, we have only heterotrophic nutrition. See, fungi and animals only have heterotrophic, but their mode of nutrition is also different. Like fungi have saprophytic or parasitic, but animals have holozoic or saprophytic. Again, plantae has only autotrophic, and what kind of autotrophic? Photosynthetic autotrophic. Okay, so do you understand these points? Okay. Any doubts do you have, Aisha, from this table?
No.
For your homework, Aisha, please make sure that you read the first page, this table, and till here. Okay, till here you are able to read and understand the concepts. You can just learn this table as well, because it's very important that you know all the points of this table. In the next class, we'll again start by revising this table. Learn it, because I'll be asking you questions from whatever we studied today, and then we'll be moving to the next section, which is monitoring. We'll move to monitors. Okay, Aisha?
Okay.
Do you have any doubts from today's class?
No.
All right. So for today, we'll just keep it up till here.